job. It's my job as well. And last thing I want to talk about, the biggest thing, is the Constitution. Our founding fathers left explicit instructions on how to have a great country. That Constitution is not a living, breathing document. It does not change. It's almost, you know, I don't want to sit here and, you know, get in trouble here, but it's almost like the Bible. It doesn't change. It's right as it is the day it was written, the day it was penned. The Constitution is the same way. A lot of great men came together, a lot of great minds came together and created this. They knew their history. They knew that socialism didn't work. They knew communism was not the answer. They came up with a republic that, you know, allows everyone to fulfill their dreams, work hard. You know, it's a pursuit of happiness. It doesn't guarantee happiness. You know, as far as I'm concerned, fair is a four-letter word. There ain't no such thing. I know you all know that as well. So learn your Constitution. As you know it, then these leaders that come out and say, listen, I'm for you. I'm just like you are. Always be careful of that guy. You know, he's not like you are. Wearing the suit and the tie, talking real pretty. You know, action's not words. That's what I tell my son all the time. You know, people can talk pretty all day long but not get nothing done. Being a tradesman, you know, I can't talk a house in the building itself, and I can't talk a house in the plumbing itself. I actually had to get down and do it. Politicians talk a lot, but get nothing done. So learn your Constitution and learn your history. That way, when you do talk to people, you can sit there and not get an argument, but actually sit there and say, well, listen, you know, it didn't work here. This is what the Constitution says, and it's worked for so many years. Why get away from it? It makes absolutely no sense. I'm telling you right now, the politicians in Washington aren't smarter than George Washington was, than Thomas Jefferson was. These guys were giants, and they always have my respect, and I believe and actually try to follow everything they said, not just bits and pieces for speeches to make a point to sound good. Again, actions, not words. So, hey, thank you very much. Oh, quick story here. We need your involvement as much as possible. If it's not with Americans for Prosperity, fairtax.org, there's a lot of organizations out there, but we just went to Denver for a alcohol, tobacco, and firearms rally, and it went off real well. No one got shot, and everyone had a lot of fun. But the point is, we walked into the airport, and there was two guys standing there, progressivefuture.com, and they're sitting there handing out literature about Obama's health care. Now, my assistant and I were there, and we spoke to them for a brief time, trying to figure out what they were pushing. And they really couldn't answer any serious questions. They just knew enough to scare the, you know, common person walking off the airplane, like, you know, hey, listen, you need this, you know. And so we started asking some questions. They couldn't answer it. They really didn't know what they were talking about. But that's what we're up against. That's the opposition. And it's not left. It's not liberal. It's just the wrong way of doing things. It's not American. And so we as a group of people, conservative by nature, or just strong Americans, we need to get out there and get educated and, you know, be able to debunk some of the things that are coming down the pike. So education is always the key, and it's not gonna, you're not going to find it on Hannity, you're not going to find it listening to Rush Limbaugh. You're going to find it actually on the computer, in your books. You really have to take the time to get it yourself. 3-minute sound bites, you can't stand on those. You can't stand on 3-minute sound bites. You got to stand on your own legs and know it yourself. So again, thank you very much for showing up. Once you leave here, please don't just, like I said, feel good about yourself and say, well, you know, I attended. You know, showing up, that's definitely a strong point. But become active. Get into an organization. Like I said, I do a lot of work for Americans for Prosperity, from cap and trade to the card check with Employee Free Choice Act. You know, they're really out there just to educate you and help you be able to take back the government. Remember, George Washington said, fire is a terrible master, or a good servant but a terrible master, and that's what we got right now. We've let it go out of control. Politicians feel entitled, and you know, they don't even blush when they take their money. So thank you for showing up. Appreciate it. One second, I'll take just a couple questions. Just to let you know, yes, my name is Joe, Samuel Joseph Wurzelbacher. I grew up down south. We go by our middle name. Plumbing license, yes, Alaska, Arizona, Michigan. Not one in Ohio. I worked underneath my boss's license. Mainstream media doesn't want you to know the reason why I didn't have it. I worked 9 years to get custody of my son. Even to this very second, that's the best thing that's ever happened to me. That's why it's so important to me. Anything else? That's about the main thing right there. Anybody got any questions? No, I won't buy you a beer either.
I've got a question.
Yes, sir.
How come they can have a black caucus, a Latino caucus, but there's no white caucus or middle-of-the-road caucus?
Oh, and that whole politically correct thing, which I'm not about, just too many people are afraid to speak their minds. I have no problem with it. The media's already got their microscope and then took me apart with things, so I can sit out there and talk about everything. I mean, you know, just people in general are afraid to say things, and I don't have a good answer. We've allowed that to happen, quite frankly. You know, Theodore Roosevelt really railed against having two loyalties, German American, Irish American, African American. I don't believe in that. I mean, you know, either you're an American or you're not. You want to sit there and have two loyalties and move back to the other country. I mean, that's...
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Well, I have a question. What's the difference between organized crime in the United States, where they actually provide a service for you, as far as protection, this and that, and these gangsters that are running our government that take all the money from you, they basically give you very little in return. And we send these gangsters to prison when we catch them, and yet these other people are actually advancing their careers and getting more money.
Did everyone hear that question? It was fairly rhetorical. You know, and that's, again, it comes back to us. We've allowed it to happen. Why isn't Chris Dodd thrown up? I mean, that was my question from the get-go. Why did Barney Franks get down with Fannie Mae? What's Pelosi still doing there? Why did Kennedy never go to jail for killing that lady? I mean, there's lots of good questions out there, but that's, you know, it's American people. We allow it to happen. Yes, sir.
Joe, just to make the point clear, the White House does have a fence around it.
Oh, yes, sir.